Here we are again. It's a Grand Slam. It's the second Grand Slam of the year, the French Open. This time last year, we started doing these live streams for the first time. You enjoyed them, so I brought them back. It's Q&A time. I say the French Open first round is done. It's not actually. There are still some matches going, but pretty much most of the matches have been played. Welcome back to the tennis vlog. I'm presuming that if you're here now, you're already subscribed to the channel, but if you're not, then do hit subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos, because, as we all know, I don't know when I'm uploading. I don't even know when I'm getting here on time. I was late again, which doesn't surprise me and shouldn't surprise you, so I apologise. But I'm here for the next half hour. Hopefully you've brought your questions, and with your help, I'll be able to review the opening round of this year's tournament at Roland Garros, men's and women's. Lots to talk about, I think, so hopefully you can join me. Quickly, before we get started, tomorrow I start presenting a new radio show, a new tennis show on Love Sport Radio, the radio for whom I am tennis correspondent. First time I'm presenting a show for them. This starts tomorrow. It will be weekly on a Wednesday at 7 p.m. BST, running for 1 hour. However, slight change tomorrow, as I've recently been informed, because it clashes with another sporting event that's going on. The show will be recorded and played at a later time of, I think, 10 p.m. BST, but that's only tomorrow. So for the next few weeks, tune into Love Sport Radio online at lovesportradio.com at 7 p.m. and you will hear me talking for even longer, which is, yeah, great, I guess, for me and for you if you enjoy listening. So yeah, lovesportradio.com, tune in, listen to more of me rambling about the French Open. It's going to be great. So, French Open round one is pretty much down. Two defending champions are still in, although one of them suffered a bit of a scare. We had some top players crashing out, former world number ones, former Grand Slam champions. So I'll go through some of the key points while I wait for you to send your questions and for more people to join the stream. So the top seeds, Novak Djokovic and Naomi Osaka, had differing paths to the second round. Djokovic eased past Hubert Hurkacz in straight sets. Naomi Osaka today lost the first set 6-love to Anna Karolina Schmiedlova, who has previously beaten Venus Williams at this event. Osaka pretty erratic. I was far from impressed by her level in both the first and second sets, but she's showing once again that champion's mentality where she just rises in the moment she needs to. She was more beating herself than Schmiedlova was beating her, and after she got that second set tiebreak, having broken back to stay in the match twice, she pretty much soared through the third set. And she was in trouble when Schmiedlova was dragging her around, moving her out of position, but when she's got the ball in the place she wants it, she is going to absolutely annihilate her shots. And I think the fact that Osaka has managed to come through this specific match makes her a stronger title contender, I think, for the rest of the event. She plays Victoria Azarenka next, who took out 2017 champion Elena Ostapenko. Tough first round there. That was also today. Osaka will definitely have to raise her level, I would say, to keep going. But I had her down as as one of my, what do I call this? Because I really didn't know who to pick for the women. But I listed Naomi Osaka, Serena Williams, and Petra Kvitova as my leading female title contenders. Kvitova pulled out with illness. Osaka struggled. Serena's struggled a bit and is still in. So, yeah, Naomi Osaka and Serena Williams, my only two picks still remaining, are in the same quarter of the draw. So that will get interesting. But moving on to some more results. I'm not sure if this is loaded properly. I'm going to refresh. Rafael Nadal, going for his 12th title, obviously. Did rather well against Yannick Hanfmann, I think it was. And he won let me get this right, it was 6-2, 6-3, 6-1, I think, but I need to double check. Should have these results up. Obviously, when I'm looking down here, I've got my laptop so that we're not just kind of waiting for ages while I sit there and try and find the score at the back of my memory. Where is he? He's right at the bottom, of course. Oh, okay. Right set scores, but in different orders. 6-2, 6-1, 6-3 for Nadal. It was pretty comprehensive. He faced 4 break points in the opening game. Surprising as it might sound, it's not unusual to see Nadal struggling at the beginning of his Roland Garros campaign. He's lost the first set before. He generally takes just a little bit of time to get used to the conditions again. I was impressed because Court Philippe Chatrier, which is where Nadal has won his previous 11 Roland Garros titles, was essentially torn down and rebuilt after the tournament last year. So one of the things I was concerned about for Nadal ahead of the tournament when he was struggling to find form was how he would cope if he came into the tournament with no titles to his name, then having to deal with changed conditions at one of his favorite courts. However, he testified that actually it wasn't an issue, that he was very comfortable when he was playing. He certainly looked comfortable. He was ripping the forehand as he did in Rome. The conditions, slow, high bouncing, meant that even when hands topspin for everything he does on the court, convincing first round for him as it was for Federer, who won in straight sets. And yeah, on the women's side, it's just been crazy. So we've got some questions coming in, and I'm going to give you my answers. Keep them coming. I am going to be here now for the next 25 minutes, I think. So tune in, ask me your questions, and if you're not here live, then I will answer them afterwards. How far do you think Kristina Mladenovic can make it? I like her as a dark horse. Good question. Mladenovic is a rare case, I feel, on the women's side of the French entrance, where she kind of seems to rise on the occasion at the Roland Garros. I notice a bit of a difference between the female French players and the male French players at this particular tournament. The guys are loving the crowd support, the general atmosphere. Not many of them are wilting under the pressure. I was counting actually how many French guys were making it through from the first round. I haven't got a solid stat on that. Guy on Monfils is still going, but at one point I think 7 out of 9 of the French men that had played had made it through, which is pretty impressive. But on the women's side, it's not always that encouraging in terms of results. Mladenovic is a player who's done well here before. I believe she beat Muguruza here when Muguruza was the defending champion, or maybe that was 2 years after. This is why I struggle when I try and do things off the top of my head. But she is starting to look a bit more encouraging. She went through such a bad run of form, Mladenovic. I feel like she lost 15 in a row or something. She had a terrible run anyway, and I forget when it was, whether it was back end of last year, back end of the year before, but her doubles play has helped her because she has such a great all-court game. She can play at the net, she can mix things up, but she can play a really good power game as well. She just gives herself a lot of options, and I think that's definitely to her favor across all surfaces. Another thing in her favor, she has the one and only Sasha Bayan on her team last now, who I've raved about when it comes to coaching. Bayan was coaching Osaka, and while I think Osaka has all the tools to win more Grand Slams, to be one of the all-time greats essentially in this sport, and as I've said, I have her down as a leading contender for this tournament, I can see there's something missing with Osaka now that Bayan has left, as he did after the Australian Open. She hasn't won a title since then, and just the confidence that Bayan seems to give the players he's working with is so evident. His work ethic, they have the talent, and he has something that unlocks that talent. And Mladenovic had a couple of encouraging results coming into the event. I'm not sure what her draw is looking like. I've looked through the draws, but it's difficult to see where people sit. She came through against a fellow Frenchwoman, Fiona Ferro, in her first round. I was commentating actually on a Ferro match recently where she got an upset. Decent player, and Mladenovic won that one in straight sets, so that's a good start. Actually, very good draw in the next round because Mladenovic is unseeded due to recent iffy results, but she's facing Petra Martic, the number 31 seed. Very winnable match. Martic's game should match up well to Clay. She kind of loops the forehand and backhand, is quite consistent from the baseline, but Mladenovic is, in my opinion, a better player. She has a lot more she can do on the court and should be able to come through that one. After that, it would potentially be a meeting with Karolina Pliskova, who won Rome, who's been to the semi-finals here, whose game is a surprising fit on dirt. She's got the big serve and the big ground strokes, but she likes to come to the net and pose herself. So that one, I think, would be the really big, difficult match for Mladenovic. I would expect her to get this upset against Martic, but I think that the Pliskova one will be the big challenge. At this point in time, I didn't watch even Pliskova's first match, so I'm not sure how she's looking here specifically. But yeah, I would expect Mladenovic to come through round 2. From round 3 onwards, bit of a question mark, but she definitely has potential. And yeah, if you have her down as a dark horse, I do not blame you at all. Okay, thoughts on Andreescu's form returning from injury and her chances versus Sofia Kenin in round 2 and potentially Serena Williams in round 3. I was watching a bit of Bianca's first round match, actually, just out of interest, because obviously she hasn't really played or hasn't played at all since winning Indian Wells, which was quite a shock for a lot of people. But Andreescu has had a stunning season, full stop, from the beginning. Last year, she was playing ITF tournaments consistently. She came out at the beginning of the year, beat Venus Williams and Caroline Wozniacki back-to-back, made her first WTA final, then obviously went on, won Indian Wells with 2 stunning 3-set victories to round that off against Alina Svitolina and Angelique Kerber, just showing that she has the mental ability to deal with these situations as well, and kind of showing maturity beyond her 18 years at that point as well. Sorry, just going to take a drink. Mouth's getting dry. But from what I saw, she was getting pushed around a bit. She was playing Marie Bushkova, who I also commentated on a couple of weeks ago, and that was the first time I'd really seen her play. She's got a nice game to watch. It's not got a lot of weapons that would particularly make you sit up and take notice, whereas Andreescu's got a bursting repertoire, the slice, the drop shot, and the firepower as well. It's not normal to see a player who can strike so big, but at the same time still play so delicately at times as well. It's really impressive from Bianca Andreescu's side of the net. And when I saw her, she'd lost the first set, but I am pretty sure, that she lost the first set and came through in 3. Didn't see the whole match because at this point in a tournament, I'm multitasking, watching several matches at once, trying to work out what the heck is going on. But from what I saw, she was rusty, she was getting pushed around a bit, and she looked to be getting a bit frustrated. But the way, like I say, the mental side of it, being able to regroup, stay calm and come through, Andreescu will know that there's a lot more expectation on her, a lot more focus on her, especially with the disappointment for Canadian tennis already at this tournament. You had, I believe, Milos Raonic pulled out, Felix Auger-Aliassime had to pull out as well after a good run last week. Denis Shapovalov, I'm gonna do it the way I say his name, okay? Denis Shapovalov, which is apparently the correct way. A lot of people are going with Shapovalov. I guess it depends whether you're American. But I'm gonna do it my way. But Shapovalov, he lost in straights in round 1. So there's a lot of pressure really riding on Andreescu, and I think more than the physical side of her game, the way coming back from injury, she was able to handle coming back from a set down and regrouping to come through. I find that particularly impressive from her side of the court. I'm just looking for a solid scoreline. Here it is. She lost the first set 7-5 to Bushkova, who was a lucky loser. So she'd already played 3 matches here, so she was used to the conditions. Andreescu's a seeded player, out of match practice, and still got the next 2 sets, 6-4, 6-4, to come through. So impressive stuff. I think she's got good chances for the rest of the tournament, especially against Sofia Kenin. Kenin's been having a good run this year. But Andreescu, she's got all the tools to do damage. That should be a good match. 2 young upcoming players. And then Serena in round 3. You've always got to pick Serena as the favorite, I think. And I think with the way Serena played in her first round against Vitalia Diatchenko, had a nightmare first set, was able to regroup, have some match time. I think for both Andreescu and Serena, coming back from injury, not having played much recently, and Serena not having played much full stop this year, it's so important to get that extra time on court early in the tournament. maybe not so much for Andreescu because she's been injured so recently and she maybe needs her body to get a bit more rest, but especially for Serena, it was so important, I think, for her first round to not be over quick as a flash. And I think it was an ideal situation for Serena to actually be pushed to respond and then to roll through, because she kind of experienced a lot of different things within the space of one match in that clash with Diatchenko. And I think that makes her more dangerous for the rest of the tournament. I'm not convinced with Serena physically at the moment. She's been injured a lot. She's been ill a lot. It's almost like you're hovering, waiting for her to announce her next retirement or withdrawal. So even though I have her down to potentially win the events, there's obviously the potential that some injury could crop up. And if it does, that's an even more open draw for Andreescu. If not, I think Andreescu could definitely frustrate Serena, but I'm not sure if I would see her getting the win on clay. I think she'd probably have a better chance on a faster surface where she's going to take more time away from Serena and where Serena doesn't have those extra few steps to get up to the ball. So that's my answer on that question. How's the stream working, guys? It looks a bit jittery to me, and the internet has been not been fantastic recently. So let me know if there's an issue and I can try and sort that out, and let me know if you can hear me properly, etc. I should have said that at the beginning, but I'm a bit all over the place this evening, so apologies. Were you surprised that Dominic Thiem struggled in round 1, and how far do you think he will go? I try not to be surprised by anything in this sport, but I have to admit I was a bit surprised just because he was playing Tommy Paul, who's an American, a talented American, who has done stuff on the circuit. He had a particularly good run during the American hard court swing in 2017, was ripping the ball with great firepower, and it was for that reason that I was kind of surprised that he gave a good account of himself, really, against Thiem, because he does rip the ball, and that is better suited to a hard court or a grass court. But with my own analysis, I should have known that this could be a possibility, because I've been observing that the power players and the power games are actually stepping up and making more of an impact on clay this year as opposed to the counterpunchers. I mean, even Simona Halep today was struggling against Tomiljanovic, who likes to hit a big, heavy ball. So yeah, I maybe should have seen that one coming. Congrats if you did. But I thought that Thiem would probably have a nice start there. He got tested. And again, you know, if a top player gets tested in the first round and comes through, on the majority of occasions, I think that's a good thing for them. You get the extra court time. You work out early on in the event what you need to work on and what you need to improve, what you need to change, and then you can implement that going forwards. Thiem has had a terrific clay court season. I'd say, looking at the seasons as a whole, I mean, he didn't win a Masters 1000, so I don't know, but Djokovic, Nadal, I mean, Nadal's was not as great a clay court season as he would usually have, but particularly then Djokovic and Thiem have been pretty impressive, I think, coming into this tournament. But Thiem, because he's been consistent across the board, both Djokovic and Nadal have won big titles, but they've had to work a bit to get there. Thiem has been pretty much showing he means business from the start of the season. Yes, he had that early loss to Dusan Lajovic in, I think, Monte Carlo, but Lajovic has been decent on dirt. You're going to have those one-off occasions where the opponent is just playing really well and causing you trouble and you're not quite ready. I think since Monte Carlo has been fantastic. He's in the Djokovic half of the draw, I believe, Thiem. So I can see him. I mean, he beat Djokovic here in straight sets last year. Djokovic, that was obviously before he came back from his dip in form. So it wasn't the Novak Djokovic we are seeing today and have seen already at this tournament. But I think Thiem has bags of potential here. I think he can definitely get to the final again. I wouldn't have him down to win the tournament, but it's all about that draw opening up. He's got a great quarter. Definitely winnable. He can definitely come through that. And yeah, he's got Del Potro in his quarter. Del Potro obviously a semi-finalist here before. That could be difficult, but all in all, I would say I'm expecting Thiem to make the semi-finals at least. Definitely has the potential to get there, and definitely has the form. Should he be worried by Tommy Paul pushing him? Not necessarily. He's got to look at it as a positive. He's got to look at it as a good thing that he was able to identify these things early on. Paul was playing a level of tennis above what he's ranked, and there were some really quality moments. I think actually Thiem was in a really wobbly position. He won in 4 sets, for anyone that didn't know. I'm pretty sure that's correct anyway, but it was a 3rd set tiebreak, and there are a few more precarious positions in a best of 5 set match than a tiebreak at 1 set all. Tommy Paul was 4-love up in that tiebreak, and he did go a bit tight. He made a couple of unforced errors, but from there, Thiem swung. And when Thiem is swinging, Thiem is incredibly dangerous. Roger Federer's found that out on clay this season. Rafael Nadal has. Novak Djokovic already knows it. And he's got a game that adapts well to whatever situation he's in. He's a smart guy. He can think his way through matches as well. And definitely one to watch. So thank you for asking me about Dominic Thiem. What have we got? How important are the coaches? Kiki Bertens is much more consistent since she has this coach. I think it really is important because the game is becoming so much more about the mentality, not just the physicality. Yes, players are spending hours in the gym trying to improve themselves, trying to get into match fit positions. But I think the coach is especially helpful when it comes to the mental aspect, even if it's just encouragement, even if it's just looking over during a match and seeing them behind you in your box and seeing the way they're responding to situations. And I think that's why you see sometimes a bit of a difference between the way some WTA players compete at WTA events and then at the Grand Slams, because they don't have coaching visits at Grand Slams. And some players, you see them get really down on themselves, really negative, get their coach on at the changeover, and even if they treat them like dirt, which some of them do, and it's not pretty to watch, often there's a change in mentality or a change in strategy during that. And I think it's not to get too deep, but not just in tennis, but in all of life, it's always good to get some outside perspective, I guess, from people that you trust and people who you know what you're going through and know what you're dealing with. And yeah, I think tennis players without coaches, some of them need people to push them. Some of them need people to keep them on track. And I find it interesting, something I heard Daniela Hantuchova say yesterday. Daniela is a former WTA player. She was top 5, about Simona Halep and her absence, the absence of Darren Cahill in her coaching box this year. I get a bit apprehensive when I talk about how much the role of the coach plays in a particular competitor's performance, because sometimes I feel like it's a danger of detracting praise or due credit from the player themselves. But there are specific cases where you can see, aka or in the situation of Naomi Osaka and Sasha Bayan, she had all the talent, she had all the ability, but it was Bayan that was able to unlock something for her to be able to put her best tennis out on the court. And I think it was the same for Halep with Cahill. He gave her such a positive mindset and mentality. There was one point actually where he left her briefly because he said he didn't like her attitude. And Halep, that kind of made her wake up and realize, hang on, I am being overly negative. I am doing these things in matches that are costing me when I could be winning. And just his insight, the way he was with her, the way he went about things had such an impact on Halep. I think she has felt his absence since he left at the end of last year. And I think these are key examples of how much importance a coach often has to the player. You do get the odd player who just goes off and plays on instinct. Jo-Wilfried Tsonga did it for a while. Nick Kyrgios calls himself a bit uncoachable. And each player is going to be slightly different. But I think on the whole, there is a reason that virtually every player on the circuit at top level has a coach traveling with them, because it is that much of a benefit to get that outside opinion, to have that person just pushing you, just making sure that you carry on. It's so much easier than just doing it on your own. And yeah, good point on Bertens. It's like in well, I'm not going to make that analogy, but you often see when a player is struggling, they do things, they change things in their game, and sometimes they change their coach because it does have an impact, and sometimes they just need a fresh mentality, but sometimes they need different insights as well. So yeah, good point on Bertens and coaching. I think definitely definitely is important. Stream sounds and looks good. Thank you for letting me know, because for me it's just not working that well. Okay, is it wise for players to also play in the doubles? Oh, good question. If you're injured, no, it's probably not a good idea. But are we talking here about singles players who generally just play singles playing doubles? As far as playing doubles and singles goes, I think it's great. I think it depends how high your expectations are for your singles game. For example, you've got Venus and Serena Williams who've won loads of Grand Slam doubles titles, but obviously value singles above doubles. There has been times when they have pulled out of the doubles to focus on their singles. So I think if you're in a position where you're valuing singles a lot more, and you know you're going to get to the position where if you go deep in the event, you're going to pull out of doubles, I would say don't play doubles, because there are actual serious doubles players out there, some players who only play doubles, who would value that spot in the draw. But apart from that, I think it's great. I think it helps players, we were talking about Mladenovic before, to vary up their games, to get used to playing at the net, which some singles players aren't. They would rather not come forward. Maria Sharapova, multi-Grand Slam champion, still isn't comfortable playing at the net. And doubles is, for a singles player, yes, it's good practice. But I think doubles needs to be taken more seriously in its own right. It's tennis as much as singles players tennis. It's a bit annoying sometimes for the players who only play doubles that the doubles tournaments aren't always taken seriously. I think sometimes that's because singles players are entering the doubles events at slams just to get another opportunity to keep going. All in all, I think if you're looking at yourself and your own game, I think doubles is helpful, but obviously if you're looking to go deep in singles, there's a potential that you will get tired and you may even get injured. So each individual player, I think, has to assess this for themselves, talk with their coaches, talk with the team about what's good for them, and yeah, what's the most beneficial thing for them at that event. All right, what have we got? 1 or 2 upsets you can see happening tomorrow. I was thinking Danielle Collins. Well, I did see, no, in fact, I was commentating on that match. I don't know if anyone saw the match when Danielle Collins lost to, I think she did. She lost to Jennifer Brady, right? In Prague. I'm pretty sure she did. I think I was commentating that match. Let's have a look. I think she lost in 3. Where are we at? Prague. Yep. And she started off so well, and she was hitting with so much firepower and finding her marks on the court. But, you know, Collins, she says she likes the clay, and I think she surprised people when she was playing really well in Charleston. But she has a big hitting game, which is doing well for a lot of players on the surface. But I think she can get frustrated and derail quite quickly, maybe. So let's see who she's playing. Let's have a look at tomorrow's order of play. I haven't checked it out properly. I heard a few things. I heard that Rafael Nadal is out on court Suzanne Lenglen because jo-Wilfried Tsonga's playing Kei Nishikori tomorrow, which was a quarterfinal here at one point. Now it's the second round, which is pretty harsh. Tsonga's been injured right down the rankings now, so him and Nishikori, both of whom I would say they're 2 of the best clay court players on tour. Not as good, obviously, as Nadal, Thiem, Djokovic, etc., but up there. And neither of them have had the best clay court season this year. Both of them have been struggling for consistency. That one will be an interesting one, but I don't think you could call either loss an upset because it's 50-50. I think Tsonga could potentially have the edge with the crowd behind him, but then again, Nishikori has probably looked slightly more promising in terms of results. So let's have a look at this order of play. Give me your opinions, guys, as well in the chat, who you think might get knocked out tomorrow or get upset. We've not really had many upsets so far. You had Angelique Kerber, who was injured coming into the event anyway, so that was not a shock. Caroline Wozniacki, has she ever really done well at the French Open? Not really. And then on the men's side, biggest upset was probably Daniel Medvedev to Pierre-Hugues Herbert, and he was up 2-0, so I thought that one was a bit of a surprise. But Herbert, when you look at him, no, it's not actually that surprising because Herbert is a brilliant player from all areas of the court who's put his doubles on hold to focus on his singles. So that was just a tough draw. I'm rambling again. Let's get this order of play up. Tomorrow, 29th of May. Who could go? Oh, I see Sloane Stephens, the number 7 seed, up against Sara Sorribes-Tormo, first on Philippe Chatrier. Sorribes-Tormo, not the best player by a long shot, but she can frustrate the players, and boy did she frustrate Naomi Osaka the other week, because she top spins like heck. She's so consistent from the back of the court, and she just keeps going and going and going. And Stephens, I'm not sure if she'd get upset, but she might definitely get frustrated in that one. Elena Svitolina up against Katerina Kozlova, who got a decent win the other week. So Svitolina, though, with face Venus Williams round 1, came through in straight, so looking good. I'm just scanning down who might get upset. Marin Cilic is playing Grigor Dimitrov. Dimitrov not in great form, but obviously has experience against big players at Grand Slams. Could be difficult. Belinda Bencic is up against Laura Siegemund. Siegemund's terrific on clay. For me, 2 years ago, she was up there top 5 on clay. She won Stuttgart as a qualifier. She has the drop shot that does so much damage. She just loves the clay courts. She's not had a great clay court season this year, but she's done enough to make the second round, and Bencic has either been stunning or erratic a bit, I think, this year. So she's kind of been one or the other, Bencic. And some people, I think, have her as an outside contender for the tournament. I don't blame you. But Siegemund's a tough draw there. Let's have a look at the men. Who could be in danger? Obviously, Kei Nishikori or Jo-Wilfried Tsonga has to go. I think Nadal and Federer will be safe. Richard Gasquet's not seeded, but he's playing Juan Londero, who's been having a decent run on clay. So that's a difficult match. Just looking at Garbiñe Muguruza's name, I know I named Naomi Osaka and Serena Williams as contenders, but I'm not very sure. And I suddenly thought, as I saw Muguruza come through round 1, could well be Muguruza that wins this event. I said at the end of last year that I expect Muguruza to win a Grand Slam this year because she dropped so low last year. I just thought the only way is up for Muguruza. She has the ability. She's won this tournament before. She's thrashed Serena Williams here twice. And she's under the radar, and that's what you're looking for on the WTA at the moment for players that can win a slam. So I think Muguruza is a clear contender at this event, and she has a decent draw. Oh man, I don't know what's wrong with me today, but I'm not got a clear throat. Right, I'm going to have to leave in a couple of minutes because I have to go out, which is annoying, so apologies. But the next Q&A, which will be in 2 days' time after the end of second round play, will be longer. But just scanning down, yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Oh, Alex de Minaur, the number 21 seed even, has Pablo Carreño Busta, good clay quarter, Spaniard. That one's going to be difficult. Let's just have a quick look at the last few questions. They're all coming in now. Be here sooner next time, guys. I'm sorry, you don't know when to come because I'm always late, but what do you think about Simona Halep's match? I don't know. I've missed a lot, I'm afraid. I have missed a lot. Let's go through quick. Let us go through them quickly. Where are we at? Oh my word, guys. They've all come through while I was dilly-dallying around the order of play. 1 or 2 upsets, okay. Doubles seem to really sharpen Tsitsipas' net game. Fair point. Tsitsipas, brilliant. Will this be Federer's last French Open? I don't think so. Olympics next year, he's still at the top of his game, has not played much and is still in the top 3, so I don't see Federer stopping now. Why should he? He's looking physically decent. Yeah, thoughts on Muguruza winning the French Open? There you go. Yeah, I can 100% see it happening, and I'm almost annoyed that I didn't call her name before the tournament began now. Federer had several different coaches in the last 20 years, yet he was able to stay consistent. He's never had a serious struggle due to his coaches, despite different personalities and coaching styles. How is this possible? What do you think? Roger Federer is flat out rawly talented, and he could probably coach himself, to be fair. I think Federer just needs that person in his corner giving bits of advice, but mainly telling him he's doing the right thing. Just telling him to keep playing, essentially. Yeah, he's he could coach himself probably at this point, Federer. I I think Kiki Bertens has decent chances at the French, but I wouldn't put her up there as a contender. I don't know why, but just over 7 matches, I'm not sure if her energy would hold out. She's not a power player. She has to grind a bit, and the draw could open up for her, but I'm not sure when it comes to Bertens. Simona Halep's match. She started off strong against Ayla Tomiljanovic, who's a tough player. I think Tomiljanovic was very smart in the second set. She mixed it up a bit, put more shape on the ball, was making Halep run, and was really stretching Halep out, but Tomiljanovic couldn't sustain that form in the third set. I think Halep started to get more intense at the end of the second set and then really stepped it up in the third. And for Halep, you know, with so much having changed from last year, she's now defending champion. Darren Cahill isn't with her. She doesn't have anything to prove, but I think it's a very encouraging win for her mentally. So I'm going to have to wrap up soon, so I'll have to leave that one there. Tsitsipas or Zverev, who do you think will have a better career? Oh boy. I still think Alexander Zverev will win multiple slams. Well, I did think that for a long time. He's struggling to break through, but I think with many players, the case is once you finally break through, you get a few. So, and Tsitsipas, you know, his style of play is really stepping up, doing well, and he's getting good results across all surfaces. If I'm honest, I didn't really expect Tsitsipas to do much on clay. I thought that obviously he did well at the Australian Open. I thought he'd then do well on the grass, but he's doing really well, credit to him, and I can see him winning majors. Yeah, Serena was convincing at the end of that match. Vitalia Diatchenko, I've crossed paths with her a number of times this year at lower level events. She's always impressed me with her focus and with her attitude towards her game and what she's doing. I think in her mind she has a very clear strategy. I think she's an underrated player. Maybe not the best mover, yeah, but she got Serena moving in that first set, which I think was troubling Serena a lot. So fair play to her. Okay. Oh, cheers. Thank you. Right. I'm going to wrap this up. And thank you for coming and thank you for asking the questions. Sorry I had to rush the last ones, but the moment I turn off this live stream, I'm off out. So I had to wrap it up. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you very much for your questions. It's been a wild first round, and I'm sure it will only get more intriguing as the tournament goes on. So yeah, thank you for watching. Be back here in 2 days' time for the next stream. Feel free to drop me a comment if you watch this one late. Thank you for all your comments on my last video. I will be getting around to replying to them.